Hi there, DJ Johnson here, and I'm going to be bringing you a short video detailing some of the commons and uncommons that might be worth more than what you'd expect. Fatal, Push, and Blossoming Defense are examples of premium uncommons that are legal and standard right now, but the value still exists if you're looking to dig back into previous blocks. If you want to extract the most value out of your collection, it can certainly be worth sifting through your cards to see if you have any of these lying around. Today, I want to focus on some hidden gems from Theros block. As 2013 creeps further into the past, bulk from this set becomes a little harder to find every day. While it doesn't hold the treasures of older sets like Shadowmoor or Zendikar, there are still plenty of gems worth pulling out of this Greek-themed block. Let's get started. Furnished Art costs a good chunk of mana to get going, but it's one of the few tools that non-green decks have in Commander for fetching basic lands directly into play. With a market price of around 50 cents, you can sell these to some stores for 10 or 15 cents a piece. I personally jam this in my Marchesa the Black Rose deck because giving it a +1/+1 counter feels great. An interesting cycle from the Born of the Gods set are the archetypes, or enchantment creatures that make certain keyword abilities completely one-sided. While the green and white versions generally command a premium over the rest, all 5 cards are worth pulling from your bulk. The average TCG player buy list on Archetype of Courage, for example, is 28 cents. Life gain and +1/+1 counters are 2 time-honored casual tribes, so what do you get when you combine them? Sonbond. While I personally prefer to slam this onto an Aloro and start attacking, this uncommon fits into a multitude of casual decks, even though it's never seen competitive play. You can buy list these for 10 to 15 cents regularly, which certainly adds up if you find a bunch. Again with the life gain cards, Nyx's Fleece Ram has been a premium uncommon ever since it was a standard legal sideboard staple. Standard legal sideboard staple. To wall aggressive red decks, but it's never really fallen below $1 retail. If you have a pile of Journey into Nyx cards collecting dust in your basement, you might want to shear the wool off that bulk by picking these. No? Is that a bad pun? Alright, fine, moving on. Here we arrive at our first competitive card. Springleaf Drum has always been great at turning Memnite and friends into pseudo Birds of Paradise and giving robots, or Affinity if you prefer to call it that, truly explosive hands. While the reprint in Born of the Gods squished the price down initially, it's since climbed back up to the previous $1 uncommon status. You can buy list these right now for between 30 and 35 cents depending on which store you decide to sell to. While Grey Merchant of Asphodel, aka Gary, was a true terror and standard throughout his tenure, he's still a pick for today's Commander crowd. Even though I can usually only get 5 cents on these a piece, he's a staple in mono black Commander decks, works well with Zombie Tribal, and I can always count on finding a good stack of these in Theros bulk to make him worth my while. Searing Blood, or as I like to call it, oh sweet heavens, my hand is made of molten cheese, is another quality competitive pick from Born of the Gods. It sometimes makes its way into modern burn lists, although not quite as often enough to command the price tag that its cousin Searing Blaze does. I like to have these on hand when they're asked for at the shop, so pick them and sell them to people like me for 10 cents a piece when you find them in your bulk. While Theros block doesn't have any $3 Hedron, Crabs, or Sage of Fables, it's still definitely worth picking through. Even if you don't have plans to buy list 100 copies of Grey Merchant to a store, you can still save yourself money on your own personal Commander decks or standard lists by taking advantage of trade-in or using the cards you pull from bulk for your own decks. Thanks for joining me on this trip to Theros. Let me know in the comments section what plane you want to visit next. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and follow TCG Player for more finance, strategy, and gameplay. See you next week.